Hey everybody, it's Robot here from Vespa Motorsport here in San Diego, California. The exclusive dealer for Vespa and Piaggio products in San Diego, California. If you're new to the channel, welcome. If you're a follower of the channel, probably because you like Vespas, I'm going to share something other than a Vespa that's made by the Piaggio group with you. The scooter has been long discontinued. This is the Fly 150. 150cc scooter that was sold in the United States from 2006 to 2012. So whether you're just curious about this model or you're researching an inexpensive used scooter to use as daily transportation, I'm going to cover a lot of your questions in this video. I'm going to do a walk around video and just talk about the performance, the reliability of these scooters now that it's been out for several years, and about the price point, about what you would pay now that it's 2020 and this scooter's been discontinued for nearly 8 years. So I'll start from the top front and move to the back, kind of review all the features. First of all, we got a prime example. It's 2020. This is a 2009 model year with only 79 miles. It was stored in a garage, obviously used very little. It's got basic instrumentation. It's got a basic clock. The unfortunate thing about this clock, they typically don't work if no one's going in there to replace the clock battery. That's pretty difficult to change out. It's got a pair of turn signal indicators, which is pretty nice, a low fuel light, a fuel gauge, a basic speedometer, high beam indicator, and a low oil pressure indicator. Moving on to the controls, you have the basic headlight controls. Headlight comes on right when you turn on the scooter. You can flash the light. The turn signals are push to cancel, so you can just push the button in the center position to cancel your turn signals. A basic horn. The ignition kill switch, which is a weak point on the scooter. One thing to look for is when you turn the ignition kill switch on, you should see the light come on. So if the light's not coming on, you can't get the scooter to start, check your kill switch. And also your turn signals no longer work when the kill switch is not in the run position. But frequently I find the kill switch, the emergency kill switch is a part that fails on these, so if you're having troubles getting the scooter started, you may want to replace that part. It's got a generous double piston disc brake, has a larger caliper than the caliper found on the Vespa LX and ET4, which are the Vespa counterpart that use a nearly identical motor to this model. Works very well. 12-inch tires, both front and rear, which are very readily available tires. They last longer than the Vespa ET4 and LX tires, being that they're a larger diameter. It's got the basic plastic bodywork, a halogen headlight, a pair of running lights up front. In other markets, these would be the turn signals. Telescopic forks for the suspension. Keep in mind, if you're buying one of these, even with low miles, it may have leaky fork seals, so that's something to look for. It's quite a labor-intensive task to replace those fork seals. The speedometer drive is a mechanical cable. Sometimes you need to replace those parts. But overall, engine-wise, these are very reliable scooters. They use the tried and true motor that's found in the ET4 and LX. And we have plenty of customers with both the LX 150 and the ET4s with, 30, 40, sometimes even 50,000 miles, and they're still using them. And the same is true if you own a Fly. You can keep it on the road pretty readily because all the spare parts for the engine are still available. Moving on to the key. If you have a 2006 through 2008 Fly, it's probably going to have a black key with a little puffy Piaggio emblem on it. And that indicates it's got an immobilizer system, which uses the more expensive replacement keys that need programming. If you have a 2009 through 2012 Fly, it uses just a basic key blank. There's no immobilizer chip in the key, which is good if you want to duplicate keys, but bad if somebody steals a bike because you could just hotwire this thing and take it off. So there's pluses and minuses to having the immobilizer system. That's pretty much the only change other than the colors that they had over the 6-year model run. The key works to lock the ignition, so if you turn your steering all the way to the far left, you're able to turn the key counterclockwise to the 9 o'clock position, pull it out, and the scooter is completely locked down. Put the key back in, turn it to clockwise to the 12 o'clock position, and you can pull the key in and out that position and also push it in to open the glove box. The glove box on these 2006 through 2012 Flies is pretty generous, nice and deep. It's got this nice little pocket that you could put a phone in there or change, and it's not going to fall out onto the floorboard. Pretty nice design for one of the Piaggio scooters. Some of the Vespa scooters have very small glove boxes because they have so much stuff jam-packed into the front leg shield. And the last position for the key obviously turns the ignition on. So pretty straightforward operation. Moving on to the floorboard. One thing I like about this scooter for its price point, when you compare it to like a Honda PCX, it's got a flat floorboard. And that's a nice feature. It's more convenient to get on and off, along with the idea that you can put a bag. I mean, if you really wanted to, you could probably put a bag of birdseed on there and take it home. Or maybe not a 90-pound bag of concrete, but you could do that. It's actually a pretty useful feature to have a flat floorboard. And moving on towards the rear of the floorboard, it's got an ample space for a passenger footrest on the back. And I found the scooter is pretty comfortable for this class of scooter. You can move around on the seat. It's lower seat height than a Vespa LX or ET4. I would say by about a ½ inch, not much, but you know, I'm 5'7", and I have no problem sitting on this. I would say, you know, as long as you're over 5 feet, it should be a pretty comfortable scooter. I mean, if you're over 6 feet, it may be a little bit on the cramped side. So not only is the seat there to sit on, it serves a function to cover up a storage compartment. This is a unique feature found on most modern scooters, and it's a very useful feature in my ideas. So it's got a generous single helmet bay underneath. You can put like 2 grocery bags under there. And some full-size helmets, not all of them, some of the full-face helmets are a little bit too large on the shell to really fit in here and close the cover. A small toolkit included with the scooter. Probably never been touched since the scooter was new in 2009. Moving on towards the rear, underneath this cover is the battery. It's a basic YB9B battery that you're supposed to check the acid every once in a while. It's not the greatest, longest lasting battery because it's a maintenance style battery, which is like a downside compared to the Vespas that use a higher quality battery. Holds about 2 gallons, somewhere in there, maybe 2.2 gallons, I think. Typically, you probably can get around 150-mile range on this. To be honest with you, I don't know the exact number. I've never owned one to kind of really give it a true road test, but should have always over 100-mile range with a full tank of gas. And plus, you have the fuel gauge, kind of shows you what your level is. Seat drops, latches, and is all secure. Moving on to the taillight. The early Flies, I think 2006 through 2008, had a combination of yellow and red lenses. Starting in 2009, they went to a set of clear lenses, kind of update the look of it. Just basic incandescent bulbs. It's nice they don't have the pod signals on this, like many of the Vespas nowadays. A license light, that's kind of mandated by when they're imported to light up the license. And then it's got the tried and true liter motor. So that's a 150cc carbureted 2-valve motor. And you're probably wondering what the performance is of a scooter like this. You could probably top it out about 70, maybe a little over 70 miles an hour. It's just barely enough to really kind of maintain highway speed, 65. They're rather torquey. I feel these motors, despite being older technology, air-cooled, and 2 valves and carbureted, they still perform pretty good. And you still have the option to hot rod it. You could put the 187 Melosi kit. It will bolt right on this, bolts onto, you know, the LX or ET4. Same motor, they just changed the gear case and the rear wheel. That's the only difference, and the muffler's not quite as detailed out as the Vespa counterpart. One other weak point I'll say about this scooter, say if it's never been serviced. This scooter has 97 miles. We replaced both the vacuum line from this thing called the vacuum petcock or the fuel tap. This shuts off the fuel flow to the carburetor when the scooter's not running. And these lines, both the fuel line and this vacuum line, tend to deteriorate just from age. To show you, a 2009 scooter had hardly any miles, but a lot of people say, well, it has no miles on it. Well, guess what? Some of the parts deteriorate on it. Fortunately, the scooter's always been covered up and stored inside, and the tires are in wonderful condition. Considering the age, I would have no problem riding on these tires. But things like these fuel lines and the vacuum lines, they typically need to be replaced if they haven't been yet. So that's like kind of a weak point. If you're wondering why it stalled out, it doesn't run against most likely this. If the scooter's been sitting for a while, you're going to need to clean the carburetor out. And you can look at my other videos on cleaning out a carburetor on a GT200. It's nearly an identical carburetor, and it can be accessed easily from underneath the seat. So here's the factory Piaggio top case that was included with these. I think they're about 33 liters. We still have these in stock in red, I think it is, red color, and we also have the flat rack. Cool thing about this top case is it's not too hard to remove. It's got this quick release thing. You can spin that off, and then you have a rack that you can put on. If it's a stock fly, it's just going to have a grab rail on there. But check out our website, scooterwest.com, for all things Vespa and Piaggio. We do have brand new racks as of February 2020. They're very inexpensive. We have them on closeout. And it's always handy to have a rack on a scooter, even if you opt not to put a top case on your scooter. It gives you extra storage to put a bag on it if you're not going to put a top case. So here's a comparable 2009 Vespa LX. Pretty much the same architecture, same engine, same tried and true design, but just with a plastic bodywork. And typically you can find the flies for pretty much half the price of a Vespa. Performs just as good, handles in some ways a little bit better. The ground clearance I noticed is a little bit limited on the flies versus the Vespa for some reason. But you can get them pretty cheap. If you're looking for a basic scooter, I suggest you check out the Fly. Pretty cool scooter for a budget-minded scooterist. So we specialize in refurbishing and reselling used scooters along with new scooters. You can check out our used inventory anytime on vespa.everywhere. The used scooters always go faster than the new scooters. Everybody knows that we have our successful service department that's run by me and all my wonderful techs. We take a ton of pride in refurbishing used scooters before we resell them. So they're all serviced up, have fresh tires, and they can be had for a bargain. And ironically, if you look at Vespa Motorsport right now in February 2020, this scooter is available. And guess what? It's under 2,000 bucks. It's a wonderful scooter, under a 100-mile scooter, a practically new scooter for under 2,000 bucks. It's a quality make. Keep in mind, it doesn't have a factory warranty. We do offer various warranties with our used scooters, kind of give you a good peace of mind. And of course, if you're in the San Diego area, we got a wonderful service department to take care of you. If you want to maintain it yourself, check out all my videos. Either way, I'm always happy to help you. Until next time, this is Robot here from Vespa Motorsport and scooterwest.com. Watch out for the next video. Following this video, I'm going to cover the 2013 through 2019 Fly and the differences.